Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Why Should PULL Arlecchino video. In this video, I'll basically try to promote Arlecchino's upcoming banner, but telling you why you should pull for her, also give you a small little free-to-play damage showcase. So grab some snacks, sit back, and watch me ramble about the best dad in the game. No, not your semi, Arlecchino. Now, why should you pull Arlecchino and why do I like her so much? Well, the short answer is that she's pretty amazing, but the long answer is that she's an extremely useful and all-round OP unit to have. Because not only is the kit super unique and easy to master, but she's also very fun to play. I mean, I have most of the 5-star characters and usually I stop playing them once I max out their friendship. But I still, even after months from her release, constantly find a reason to use Arlecchino. And it's probably because she can be good for basically everything. Exploration, farming, abyss, you name it, she can do it. Another reason why I like Arlecchino so much is because of insane damage. You see, using a normal attacks kind of feels like carpet bombing your enemies, meaning that she'll be basically destroying most mobs before even seeing her final attack animation. And trust me, watching her casually dish out 100Ks with her normal attacks never gets old. Also, I know that a lot of you guys actually play Genshin on your phone, and Arlecchino can be a great unit for mobile players. You don't really have to try too hard to get good rotations, and as long as you're in many circles with a shield, nothing will live for long. Also, if you're someone like me and just like to mess around in the overworld, having Arlecchino can come in very handy, because not only does she do big PP damage and basically heal herself, but a special Grim Reaper spread is surprisingly handy in super niche situations where you don't want to get your father wet. Plus, this special spread is also as fast as Yelan, making it somewhat useful. And speaking of a kit, let's not forget that Arle is actually pretty easy to learn. Now first, you might feel kind of intimidated by the whole borderlight thing, but trust me, after spending like 2 days with Arlecchino, this stuff is gonna feel like second nature to you. But still, with all that being said, she's not a complete turn your brain off type of character like Yoimiya, so do keep that in mind, as fully mastering Arlecchino does require a little bit of effort. Another reason why Arlecchino is so goated is because of a tall character model, because the longer you are, the faster you're gonna explore. And just like real life, height plays a big role when it comes to sprinting, climbing, and swimming. And speaking of exploration, her ascension mats are also super easy to get. Just put either Clorinde or Lynn in your team because of their exploration passives, and you'll get them super quickly. Also, you must have noticed a recent trend the start of Fontaine where almost every character had a weird HP gimmick or just had to have Farina with a solid healer in the teams, which can be kinda annoying at times. But this doesn't really happen with Arlecchino, because the kit doesn't really rely on any of these elements, meaning that she can be both easy to pick up and also have great synergies with a bunch of supports without having a need to slot in a dedicated healer, all thanks to her burst. And speaking of synergies, if you want to do the abyss, you're gonna need 2 good teams for that. And now let's just say that you're using Mavuika Melt or some other wave team, it'll hog up some of the best supports that we have in game. But with Arlecchino, you don't need to worry about that. There are also way too many ways of playing her. She's the perfect unit if you like to use or mess around with many different teams. And as if all this wasn't enough, did you know that Arlecchino can also be one of the most free-to-play friendly characters as well? You see, one of our best budget weapon options is literally just a 3-star weapon. And if you play this game even for just a month, you'll probably have at least 3 copies of this thing in your inventory by now. But what makes this weapon even more busted is the fact that it can also give you 23% crit rate for free, making it much easier to get a good crit ratio on her. But now you will have to compensate for the very low base attack by giving a strong boxing one of the 17 different attack artifacts that we have in game, or maybe even straight up tying her up with Bennett, so do keep that in mind. Now another great thing about Arlecchino is that her early constellations are actually pretty good. Her C1 will increase your interruption resistance, which will make using her easier and even more busted. And as if that wasn't enough, her C2 further increases her already insane damage, allowing you to maybe solo the entire abyss with just her. She's honestly one of those 5-star characters that only has like back-to-back banger constellations. But with that being said, you don't need them. Sure, these constellations look good, but if you're doing proper rotations, you won't even think of getting them. She's perfectly fine at C0, and in fact, as someone who has had her since release, I didn't even know what a const did before making this video. Arlecchino also has some of the best idle animations in the game. I mean, you know what happens when you leave the game for even a second, right? Either this ex-Archon will call you annoying, or a blonde French girl will start to moan. But with Arlecchino, you don't need to worry about any of that. She has one of those idles that don't really make much noise, and when you come back, you'll have a character literally mocking you. But now finally, let's talk about the most important point. She is so cool. I mean, not only does she fight with a scythe, but she also looks bad as hell while doing it. And all I'm gonna say is that not getting Arlecchino is quite literally fatherless behavior. But now let me show you something that you're here for. We're free to play Arlecchino's damage and build. So as you can see, my Arlecchino is fully maxed out. She is level 90 with 1700 attack. For the weapons, she has the R5 White Tassel. Now for the artifact, she's on her signature set. And here are the individual pieces real quick. Now she is obviously at Constellation 0 and the talents are at 888. So she has 71 crit rate, 200 crit damage with 150 ER. And let's do a quick showcase real quick. But now let's stop this Arlecchino glaze for a second and also go over 6 major reasons why you should not pull for her. So first off, let's start with the most obvious reason, the Chronicled Wish banner. Now if you don't know, this banner is going to feature some of the rarest 5 stars that we have in game, like Shenhe, who's finally getting a rerun after 646 days, and also this Jolly Rancher sword, which is coming back after 3 entire years. Now I'll also be pulling for this weapon live, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. And as if all this wasn't enough, we also only got 1 new drip marketing for the next patch, meaning that the next update, version 5.4, might feature reruns of some very long awaited characters. And speaking of reruns, let's not forget that with Arlecchino, we also have Clorinde, a really fun character that's probably gonna get shunned for a while. Another big reason to skip Arlecchino that I've only seen a few people talk about comes from the fact that she's kinda pay to win. Now if you care about the drip on your characters, you'll probably try to get her signature weapon, because so far she's the only character to have this cool ass sight. But if you get unlucky, you'll basically be stuck with this Timu ass hoe thingy unless you pay up. And as if these style points weren't enough, there's also a pretty noticeable damage gap between her signature weapon and the free to play options, which can make your favorite character feel kinda underwhelming if you can't afford their weapon. But still, with that being said, please don't waste your primos on this weapon banner. I mean sure, Clorinde's weapon can be decent on most sword users, but the same can't really be said about Arlecchino's side. Crit rate on this weapon is on the lower end, and its passive is completely useless on basically everyone else. Also, if you're someone who likes to mess around in co-op, Arlecchino is gonna feel like a very awkward and squishy character to play, because the kit was definitely not designed with multiplayer in mind. You see, while using Arlecchino, you have to avoid taking hits while doing a Bond of Light thingy, meaning that you'll either rely constantly on shielders to avoid getting interrupted, or have to watch your ER to get her burst back to heal. And if for some reason your friends decide to use Farina, bro, it's just GG's from there. And to make things much worse, unlike Hu Tao, Arlecchino isn't HP scaling, meaning that you won't have a lot of wiggle room to work with, making her kinda hard to fully master. Now to be honest, these issues won't exist if you have just like one other player in your world, but if you plan on squatting off with the boys, she's gonna feel worse than getting grittied on Fortnite. Another big problem with Arlecchino that most people overlook is the fact that her signature artifact domain is mega ass. Not only are the harmonic whimsy pieces only good on like 2 characters, but the other set isn't much better either, which basically means that farming this domain is one of the least efficient ways to spend your resin. And let's be honest, no one really wants a new 18% attack artifact set. But hey, at least you can easily mitigate this issue by simply strongboxing some glad pieces, so building process won't really be that annoying. Also, speaking of annoying stuff, let's also talk about a very painful thing you'll have to do while building your Arlecchino, and it's none other than a boss. Because not only do you have to do a long ass quest to unlock this boss, but you'll also have to not get distracted by his chiseled abs. And as if that wasn't enough, you'll also need a good claymore unit like Navia to break his shields. And I don't know who asked for these like gimmicky bosses, but I wish their Happy Meal comes with no toys. But now for real though, even though Arlecchino might be a great character, I kinda think that she's sort of a luxury unit to have now. Because if you already have your Mavuika build, there's no real need for you to get her. I mean, Mavuika outputs more damage and can also be a lot more exploration friendly. But with that being said, let's not forget that Arle is 10 times more versatile than most other DPSs, and as a wise man once said, can you really say your 9th pyro DPS is broken without pulling a 10th pyro DPS to compare? Also, if you like this video, be sure to sub, because only like 6% of my viewers actually sub to the channel. So good luck, and I'll see you soon.